I'm gonna link my other video to this, but this is a topic that just burns me when I mean, it just, I can't speak out enough against this, and it's 12 steps. The other video I had NA book. This is an AA, but it's pretty much the same, pretty much crossover in these things. Let me read you these things, and keep in mind that our secular government, the courts in it, make people attend AA meetings. And they say you can be an atheist. Anybody of any religious conviction out there, or anybody who is honest with themselves that's an atheist, let me go through these and see if you could accept these without being a total hypocrite. We admitted we are powerless over alcohol and our lives have become unmanageable. But it can be cocaine, it can be narcotics or whatever. It could be addiction. We're powerless over our addiction. Let me put it that way, because that's the way I knew it from NA. And our lives have become unmanageable. We came to believe that a power greater than ourselves could restore us to sanity. We made a decision to turn our will and lives over to the care of God as we understood Him. We made a searching and fearless moral inventory of ourselves. We admitted to God, to ourselves, and to another human being the exact nature of our wrongs. We're entirely ready to have God remove all these defects of character. We humbly ask Him to remove our shortcomings, made a list of all persons we had harmed, and became unwilling to make amends to them all. And became willing to make amends to them all. Number 9, made direct amends to such people wherever possible, except when to do so would injure them or others. 10, to continue to take personal inventory when we were wrong, promptly admitted it. Number 11, sought through prayer and meditation to improve our conscious contact with God as we understood Him, praying only for knowledge of His will for us and the power to carry that out. Number 12, having had a spiritual awakening as a result of these steps, we tried to carry this message to alcoholics and to practice these principles in all our affairs. Something important, this chapter right here, how it works. They read at the beginning of every AA meeting, because I don't care what type of meetings you go to, when you go to 12 step for these things. I had never been ordered to do this, but I had to do it. And they say that doorknob can be your God, right? If you're an atheist, that doorknob could be your God, or the group can be your God, or sobriety could be your God. And notice some of these steps are the same. Why 12? 12 is a very biblical number. 12 tribes, 12 apostles, this type of stuff. My woman, turn that off. Now, just tell me if this isn't cruel. You tell somebody who's had a chemical substance in their body for probably years, if not months, so their brain chemistry is all screwed up. Doesn't matter what you pour something heavy into your body, alcohol, heroin, anything, cocaine, and the person's just shaking, right? It's just fried, and God, they're in a bad state mentally, let alone physically. Even if they're like, especially if they're away from like DTs or withdrawal, they're still bad news, mentally. Probably had your life wrecked or damn near wrecked. You're powerless. To admit we are powerless over our addiction, our lives have become unmanageable. This is something they pound into you, that you're powerless and that only God And we came to believe that a power greater than ourselves could restore us to sanity. We made a decision to turn our will and our lives over to the care of God as we understood Him. We made a searching and fearless moral inventory. That number 4 read the book of James. We admitted to God, to ourselves, and to another human being the exact nature of our wrongs. We were entirely ready to have God remove all these defects. We humbly asked Him to remove our shortcomings. Number 11, sought through prayer and meditation to improve our conscious contact with God as we understood Him, praying for only knowledge of His will and the power to carry that out. If you're an atheist and you say that doorknob is my God, how are you going to have conscious contact with that? How is praying to the group when they're not in the room with you? I mean, prayer isn't talking, it's praying to. It's spiritual, and a spiritual awakening, a spiritual improvement, a spiritual program. It's not religious. Well, the atheists who, I mean, kind of goes hand in hand nowadays, materialist atheist. There is no spirit for many atheists. There might be atheists out there that say, well, I don't believe in a theistic God or one God or creator God or something like that, which then doesn't really qualify as an atheist, does it? A spiritual awakening, spiritual progress, conscious contact with God, praying, meditating for the knowledge of God's will. Came to believe a power greater than yourself. You're powerless, and a power greater than yourself is the only thing that can remove this personal defect. What is personal defects? Moral inventory. What does that have to do with drug abuse, or alcoholism, or any addiction known to man? Wait, isn't alcohol, didn't we find out like alcohol and heroin, cocaine hit receptors in your brain, right? And it says the doctor's opinion in the foreword of it. Now, if there was some magical pill you could take, naloxone, which is in Suboxone, Subutex, it's what they shoot up heroin patients with to get them out, like Narcan. Narcan has it in it. Campril is something that alcoholics can take that'll kill the urge. And actually, naloxone will block opiate receptors, so you don't get that high or the addictive quality to it. So they actually did create a magical pill, or at least a molecular compound, or whatever the hell it is. And our lives would become unmanageable. That a power greater than ourselves could restore us to sanity. We made a decision to turn our lives and our will over to the care of God as we understood Him. Now, again, like I said, in Orthodoxy, I say I don't understand God, but they say, oh no, but you're particular, like the Trinity, right, or that. But when you have an atheist saying that doorknob can be my God, and they say the Lord's Prayer at the end of these meetings, and even when they don't, even the secularist ones, what about the 12 steps of secular? The 12 steps were based on the Oxford group, which was a Christian group. That's where they got the 12 steps from. They're not original. And this hasn't changed since 1935. They openly, that's a proud thing, it hasn't really changed since 1935. What treatment hasn't changed since 1935? What treatment, if anything, hasn't changed since 1935? And this isn't a religion. I think this should offend atheists just as much as it offends me. There's this crap out there. It's based on the Protestant concept of original sin, and it's based on This is Christianity in Unitarian form. That's all it is. It's non-denominational Christianity in the severest form. I mean, only from a Christian Western. Humbly asked Him to remove our shortcomings, really. So that doorknob that you said was your God, that can remove your shortcomings. You can pray to Him, you can have conscious contact with that, find His will. I mean, this is a personal God. No, you can't be an atheist or an agnostic or anything pretty much besides Western religions, or maybe something like that. And you'll hear some New Age Buddhist or something, well, I accept that, I'm a Buddhist. Don't Buddhists believe in the Eightfold Path, happiness and Four Noble Truths and emptiness and Maya and moksha or something to that degree, dharma and karma? It's a Christian God, a Western Christian God, yeah. The only one that's good is made direct amends with such people wherever possible, that we had wronged, made a list of people we had harmed, made direct amends. We were powerless over alcohol, came to believe a power greater than ourselves. Could restore sin. I made a decision to, the searching and fearless moral inventory, and made a list of all persons we had wronged and made direct amends. Why 12? 12 is a biblical number, that's why. Now for an Oxford group, we're entirely ready to have God remove all these defects of character. So that group, that NA group, or that A or the CA group that you went to, can remove all your defects of character. No, this is talking about when it means a higher power, it means a deity, an active theistic deity over you. It was just for non-denominational Christians, or that a Christian of any denomination could join. I find this stuff to be just crap, just garbage, filth. The idea, okay, cognitive behavioral therapy, has anybody heard of that? That what you tell yourself you'll act on. You getting up saying you're powerless over this? Oh, get this, this is the thing. If you kick an addiction, let's say I was really hooked on something, I was really hooked on junk, or I was an alcoholic for years, and I couldn't control it, right? And one day I stopped without or I stopped and I was able to, hey, take a drink of a beer one day and not go totally running back to the gutter and being shit-faced, or running into an A meeting. And then I was, hey, if I can have a beer every other year, every month, and I don't have to be a raving alcoholic. When you really weren't an alcoholic, you really weren't an addict. That's what they'll sell you. It could be the worst, life-destroying for 10 years, not being able to stop, and then somehow, whether through its medication or therapy or something traumatic happens in your life that just changes you, and you're just like, no. Oh, well, you really weren't an addict. That's the bullshit of it, and you're powerless. You're powerless to stop. Well, what if, my question was, in the depths of despair, what if there is no God? Or God doesn't want to help me? Because it's clearly a conscious God that could help you if you wanted to. And I think it's bullshit. And they say, fake it till you make it. You're relying on a God to help you. What a mean and cruel shit that this is to tell somebody who's out of their mind. Yeah, the Oxford group in the 19th century, fine, they think this is right, fine, and they were even long before that. 1935, this group, at least maybe by 2000 or 2010, you think, hey, maybe you don't treat something the same thing that you did for almost 100 years. Maybe there's a different way of going about this. Maybe these guys had it all wrong. And then they have this thing of sponsors. There's nothing about sponsors in this. And there's nothing about 90, and you have to go to 90 meetings in 90 days. That'll wreck you. You'll be running out there wanting to take a hit or a drink or whatever, After that, just people talking about. You white knuckle. After just a few days, it's just, you could take up, you're powerless, but you can take a complete onslaught of just talking about this when you still have cravings in you. When the receptors in your brain still haven't healed to go back to normal. Tell me, is there any atheist out there, I'll try to send this to any atheist I know, that doesn't think this is totally fucking cruel and evil and breaking secularism? I think it's breaking my religious rights when the court says you have to go there and do that. And is this not horribly cruel for somebody who's basically mentally ill or suffering from a chemical addiction?